Welcome to another installment of the Dubcast, the video manifestation, if you will, of the best sports blog on the web, Dubsism.wordpress.com. Check it out today. Join the 6 or 7 mental patients and other shut-ins that actually read it. Today, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. I've been a Lakers fan that goes all the way back. My fandom of the Lakers predates the Showtime Lakers. I mean, I could actually talk to you about having seen Wilt Chamberlain. I can actually, talk to you about having seen Elgin Baylor. Those of you under 30 never heard of those guys. That's fine. It's just I'm an old guy. I've been a Laker fan for a long time, and one of the things that I keep hearing, especially lately, is, well, we got to bring back Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson needs to be the head coach of the Lakers again. And, okay, I get why people think that. I mean, Phil Jackson represents one of the great periods of success in the history of one of the greatest franchises ever. I mean, the only guy who won more championships as a Laker as a head coach was John Kundla, and that was when they were still the Minneapolis Lakers. Again, people under 60 never heard of them, and I'm not quite that old, but I am old. Anyway, it's really time to stop this Phil Jackson needs to be the coach conversation, because if you look at the Lakers and you look at them objectively, right now, that basketball team has 3 major problems, and Phil Jackson can't fix any of them. Frankly, well, let's just look at it. Okay, problem number 1. They are old, all right? The average age of an NBA player right now is 26.89 years. Okay, the average age of the Lakers, 29.1. That makes them the 4th oldest team in the league. And that's a little bit misleading, because the next 3 teams that are older than them are, number 3, the LA Clippers. Well, they don't suck. Number 2, the Miami Heat. They definitely don't suck. Number 1, the New York Knicks. Now, the Knicks are old, and the Knicks are currently leading their division, but the Knicks are starting to fall apart, and largely because they are really the only team that's really as old as the Lakers. Look at where the age is distributed. I mean, with the Lakers have 7 players that are over the age of 31, okay? You got Kobe, 34, and that's not that old, but you got to remember, Kobe never played college ball, so he's in his 18th NBA season, so in dog years, he's more like 38. You got Steve Nash, who's 39, he's coming off a broken leg. We'll get into those things later. Metta World Peace is 33, Steve Blake is 33, Pau Gasol is 32, Antoine Jameson, 36, Chris Duhon, 31. They're old. Now, when you look at the Clippers and the Heat, the Clippers have all their age on their bench. Specifically, it's Chauncey Billups, who's 36, Grant Hill, who's 40, and Lamar Odom, who's 33. Okay, they're all bench players. They're not winning and losing on what those guys do. Same with the Heat. I mean, the Heat have Rashard Lewis, 33, Ray Allen, 37, Shane Battier, 33. Yeah, they're not winning and losing on those guys. You look at the Knicks, and the Knicks start looking like Lakers East, and that's why they're starting to fall apart. You got Jason Kidd at 38, Kurt Thomas 40, Marcus Camby's 37, Kenyon Martin 38, Tyson Chandler 30, Amari Stoudemire's 30. Okay, those are guys that they're putting in their starting 5, and that's kind of why they're starting to show some signs of wear and tear when you start getting into March. But the Lakers, they're just old, and they're not getting any younger. Phil Jackson's not fixing that. Okay, the second problem the Lakers have, they are hurt. There's a lot of ways to look at that. I mean, right now, Pau Gasol, they're saying he's out another month at least with the plantar fasciitis, or is it torn fasciitis, whatever. His feet hurt. That's death for a big guy. Semantics aside. Jordan Hill, he's out for the season with a bad hip. Dwight Howard, that back, that shoulder, he's missing games. He's missing time in games. He's a trip to the injured list just waiting to happen. Steve Nash missed 24 games with a broken leg. That doesn't count all the various nicks and injuries to all the old guys, Antoine Jameson, Meta World Peace, you name it. The fun stat, to talk about how the Lakers are really hurt, how much time has the Lakers' ideal starting five spent together on the floor? Okay, and when I say the ideal starting five, it's the five guys that when they put this team together in the offseason, they were going to be trotting out for the majority of the minutes, and that's Meta World Peace, Steve Nash, Pau Gasol, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard. How many times have those five, or how much time have those five guys actually been on the floor at the same time? The grand total, not including tonight's game against Minnesota, 173 minutes and 16 seconds. That's just a little right around 3.5 games worth. Okay, it's an 82-game season, and out of our star 5 players, got 3.5 games. They're hurt. Phil Jackson's not fixing that. All right, last big problem, and this one really, really hurts because the Lakers have no bench. When you look at the injury problem and then you start looking at the Lakers have no bench, things start to get ugly, okay? Right now, the starting 5 doesn't sound so bad, okay? The starting 5 they're probably going to put on the floor tonight against Minnesota. It's going to be, Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, Earl Clark, Meta World Peace. Not a bad starting 5, a little long in the tooth as we addressed in point 1, but still. I mean, there's lots of teams that would love to have those guys, okay? But the problem is the Lakers are relying on those guys so hard because they really don't have any other choices. Break it down just looking at their depth chart, okay? If you look at the point guard position, okay, Steve Nash is the guy you're going to run out there most often, okay? But he's an old guy, like we said, so you're going to have to get him some time off the floor because he's old. The old guys start sucking wind if you leave him on the floor too long. Okay, that means you're down to Chris Duhon or Darius Morris to start filling in, and that's kind of scary. At the shooting guard spot, obviously, Kobe Bryant, one of the top 10 players ever. You take him off the floor because, like I said, he's 38 in dog years, 18th NBA season. He's also starting to ouch a little bit. He's got a history of knee, foot, finger, hand, arm issues. He's going to get nicked at some point. You get him off the floor, and all of a sudden you're relying on Jody Meeks, Darius Johnson Odom. You lay awake at night with stuff like that. At the small forward, Meta World Peace. Again, long in the tooth. I just, I got too many remembrances of the Ron Artest era. I'm not a fan of this guy. He's on my team. I live with it. But when you take him off the floor, you're down to a guy named Devin Ebanks. Who? That's my point. When you get to the bigs, this is where it gets hurtful because, if you've been a Laker fan as long as I have, you know that Laker basketball is about big guys. You look at the successful eras in the history of Laker basketball, even all the way back to the Minneapolis Lakers. When the Minneapolis Lakers were winning championships, they had George Mikan, Hall of Fame center. They had Vern Mickelson at forward. If you didn't like Vern Mickelson, they had other guys like Jim Pollard. I mean, the Lakers have always had a front court. You go into the 60s, and the front court, is Wilt Chamberlain and, pick a forward, doesn't matter. There's bunches of them to pick from. And then you throw in a great guard like Jerry West. That's the Laker formula. I mean, Showtime Lakers, you got Kareem, you got forwards and James Worthy, you got Magic Johnson who can play all 5 positions. Even later on when you get Shaquille O'Neal, and then our forwards turn into guys like Dennis Rodman who are defensive specialists, or even in the most recent incarnation where your center doesn't really matter that much because Pau Gasol is your low post guy and he's doing your scoring for you, and then you've got the perimeter players around him with the Phil Jackson style, blah blah blah. And that's why we want Phil Jackson back, is because that was the most recent success that we had. It's so easy to blame this on Mike Brown, that Princeton offense doesn't work, and It's so easy to blame this on Mike D'Antoni because, well, his offense doesn't work and nobody ever played defense. Well, the Lakers never won with defense anyway. I mean, Kobe Bryant did have moments where he was a defensive player, but he's old. He's not gonna stop anybody. Neither is Steve Nash. And the real problem is that with that starting five that they're putting on the floor tonight, and this backs up the whole thing about the defense, they are getting outscored 1.1 points per 100 possessions. They're giving it away. They can't stop anybody. And with the lineup that they have now, they can't get into, scoring battles. They're not going to win those 80s style Lakers games with the Alex English Nuggets where we're going to win 140 to 136. That's not going to happen. So what it all comes down to, when you get to the end of the rant here, Phil Jackson's not the solution because Phil Jackson can't solve any of the three problems I just mentioned. I mean, you doubt that? Okay. Let's run through them again just for fun. All right. 1. They are old. How does Phil Jackson fix that? He doesn't. Unless he shows up with a time machine where he starts pissing the fountain of youth laced with geritol and human growth hormone, he can't fix old. So forget that. Okay. They are hurt. Okay. If between now and the time Phil Jackson would theoretically take the job, he suddenly graduates medical school or becomes a Mother Teresa type faith healer, he can't fix hurt. Forget that one. All right. They have no bench. How does Phil Jackson fix that? Well, he might if he were the general manager, because Phil Jackson does know a little bit of what talent in the NBA is. But we're not talking about him as the general manager. We're talking about him as the coach. And the coach means he doesn't get to make the player personnel decisions, so he still can't fix bench. Forget that one. All right. Can we stop the Phil Jackson talk now? He can't fix the three big problems with the Lakers. He never could, which is why he left when he did for a reason, people. He knew that this was coming, and he didn't want any part of it. Okay? So let's just stop it. All right? Phil Jackson's gone. The Phil Jackson era's over. Laker fans need to get ready that we're heading into another 10-year period of the Del Harris era where, at best we're a, make the playoffs and out in second round team. We've had our run. It's time to move on. Let Kobe go out with, whatever he's going to go out with. He's not winning another ring with this team. And I know I'm going to get kicked off Laker Island for saying that. But it's just time to move on. Just, let this thing play out and worry about the future in about another 2 or 3 years. That's my rant on the Lakers. Laker fans are probably coming to burn my house down as we speak, so just in case this ends up being the last Dubcast because I've pissed off Laker Nation, be sure to check us out at the best sports blog on the web, dubsism.wordpress.com. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good night.